everybody. Welcome back for another episode. We are your internet historians, and in today's episode, we will be discussing the history behind the movie Selena. In this biographical drama, Selena Quintanilla is born into a musical Mexican American family in Texas. Her father, Abraham, realizes that his young daughter is talented and begins performing with her at small venues. She finds success and falls for her guitarist, Chris Perez, who draws the ire of her father. Seeking mainstream stardom, Selena begins recording an English language album, which tragically she would never complete. What did you guys think of the film?
I liked it. I haven't seen it in a super long time,
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while
obviously,
either.
because it came out
But
in 97.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I remember watching it when I was like a little kid, and then I watched it in college and I like fell in love with it. And then watched it again more recently, I think like one time before this time. And then I kind of realized how cheesy J-Lo's acting, or like, yeah, you could just tell she was kind of like new to acting or
oh yeah.
and yeah, and then this last time it just made me laugh like certain scenes.
I liked it. I mean, I remember when, again, like I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember my sister was one who was mainly into the film versus me when we were, because we used to have it on VHS. And yeah, she would watch it all the freaking time. Like it would be over and then she'd start it again from the beginning kind of a thing. I liked it. I feel like when I watched it this time too, because I haven't, again, like I said, I haven't seen it in a while. I feel like even though it was like 2 hours long, I feel like the time went by so fast when I was watching it.
Yeah.
After this, I actually started watching the Selena series on Netflix.
Mm.
So
I was gonna ask if anybody watched that.
No.
I haven't finished.
Now I want to watch it.
I know. Well, that's exactly what happened. And I actually wanted to watch, like, there's a series on Netflix about Jenny Rivera, because I remember like people thought there was some sort of conspiracy theory between Selena's murder and Jenny's murder. But I mean, that one is in Spanish. I think, well, at least when I started it, it was all Spanish speaking. So I was like, crap, that means I have to actually look at the screen versus like just having it inside and be able to do other stuff. Anyways, so that's why I just kind of went for the series, since that's mostly in English. And what can I say about it? Because it didn't get good reviews, and I can see why, but I did hear that it's more accurate, or yeah, true to the real story. And the one thing I did like is that it wasn't just primarily focused on Selena. Like they kind of you kind of uh get an idea of what her siblings were like and their roles in the band as well, and in the family.
Yeah,
That's
I think
cool.
that's one thing I heard too, but I feel like one of the criticisms I heard was that it focused too much on like the men who like were in her life or something. So like her brother and her father, because I think, well, from the one thing I read, which is like when it first came out there, someone was saying that they didn't like that it focused on them because it kind of made it seem like diminished some of the stuff that she like was successful in. Like it made it seem like it was more of their story versus her story or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't think that's fair, because you have to remember that Selena is like a child that does need guidance. Her father needs to be a father and guide her, and her brother is
Mhm.
her older brother. She's the youngest. So I feel like that's a really harsh criticism, and when these two guys who are paving the way for her, they should also kind of put some praise into the fact that they focused on her. Like their pride could have came in and said, I need all this credit, but no, they were very driven in helping make her succeed in order for their family to succeed. I'm very attracted to her story, and I just heard like there wasn't great reviews for her series. So that's why I kind of put it off. But anyways,
There also wasn't good reviews for this movie when it first came out either. Wasn't there criticisms as well as
yeah, but I
the
was
casting of
5.
J Lo and some? I know, but I'm just saying in
Just
general,
kidding.
We'll
like
talk
Yeah.
about that.
yeah, but I'm just mean in general, like there's criticisms then as well. So it's like,
When you have such a fan base like Selena does, I feel like it's hard to please everybody.
exactly. So
Do you guys like remember anything in 95? Like, or did you even talk to your parents about it at all?
I
I
was
text
no, I remember when I
too.
was in like elementary school and stuff about it
Yeah.
then, but not like when I was that little. No.
Yeah, because I remember Princess Diana's death, and because my mom watched her funeral and I sat down and watched it with her. And so and I forgot, like I got confused because I thought that Selena died in 97 as well, but that's when her movie came out. So yeah, she died
Yeah.
in 95. So I was 3. Obviously, I don't remember anything. So I texted my mom and I was like, "Do you remember Selena?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, but she didn't get it. She
Wow.
thought I meant like Selena, like she an old friend or something. And she was like, "Oh, that's Selena."
Oh.
And she just and I said, like, "Did you like her style?" Or, because my mom had that like big curly hair as well back in the day. And she was like, well, I mean, everyone had big curly hair, so I wouldn't, and anyways, I think it makes sense that my mom wasn't like a huge fan of Selena. She wasn't into that music or anything like that. And I think
Yeah.
Selena's like much younger than, oh, I don't want to age my mother, but she's younger than my mom.
Significantly.
So
Yeah. No, I just remember because I think my grandpa and like, because like people have those used to wear shirts that had like like pictures of things on
Mhm.
them or whatever. And my grandpa had some. I
Mhm.
think he had one for Selena, and then other people like because my elementary school I went to, it was like a Spanish speaking elementary school, and a lot of like obviously a lot of the people there, they were wearing shirts and stuff like that. So I remember that, and I remember being like, I know that person on your shirt. They're like, yes, this is Selena. Da, da, da. I'm just like, yeah. But I didn't really
That's too funny.
even then, but once I was younger, when I was finally able to kind of realize like watch this movie and actually like understand what was kind of going on. I remember there when I was younger, I was like really into listening to like her popular songs, not like all of them, but some of those. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the song that she sang in this part of the movie or whatever. And yeah.
Oh, also
Too
one thing in
funny.
the series, I don't know why I was so anal about how they did Selena's hair. I was like, her spiral curls do not look accurate. Like, and then like even when she was like a little girl, I was like, um, it was her hair that straight. And then they even had a moment where they Selena was putting on lipstick and they made sure it was a MAC lipstick. I was like, all right,
Oh,
guys.
really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That was in the movie?
No, series.
Oh, the series. Okay. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
No, not the movie, because you guys know how Mac had a Selena.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked up like her net worth and her brother's net worth and her
What is
dad's
it?
net worth. I think hers was like 5 million or something. Yeah, and I
Mm.
think her brother I think is around 5 as well. I think her sister's a little less, maybe like 1 or 3 millions, and her dad I think is the most. But anyways, I was like, okay,
Dang.
well, I'm glad that they actually got into the millions. They worked really hard growing up, so they deserve, whatever they have right now. Um, anyways, yeah, should we get
Okay.
started?
Yeah, I was like, should we jump on into it? So, since we were talking about her father and I guess, the role he had to play in the whole thing, which obviously was a big one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of open up with him since in the beginning of the film, it opens up with a kind of, him and his little backstory. So in the film, obviously, we see that it opens up with Selena's dad, Abraham Quintanilla, and some of his friends being in a musical group and trying to perform at clubs, but not being accepted by white people because they were Mexican and not being accepted by Mexicans because they were singing gringo music, hence not being Mexican enough. So um, Abraham did indeed join a band, but it wasn't. I don't know. In the film, it made it seem like they kind of formed it together. It was just one that he kind of joined into after hearing that they needed a new lead singer. So he joined that group. They recorded some singles together and did experience racism and discrimination. A club owner who thought the band were Italian was surprised to learn that Los Dinos were Mexican Americans. The club owner refused to pay them. Los Dinos were turned down from motel rooms and other venues that were in predominantly white neighborhoods. The Mexican venues weren't happy with them either. While performing to a crowd of Mexican people, Los Dinos were told to play Spanish language music, Mexican music. They were later hissed and were called queers. The people at the club were refunded their money after the band confessed to not knowing any Mexican music. This angered people who wanted to dance, and they chased the band out of the building, which we see happen in the film as well.
Mm.
Local Corpus Christi police had to be called in to escort the band out. The band changed their musical genres to Chicano rock due to costs in creating English language popular music and the popularity of the band. Which, okay, for that was actually kind of interesting to me because I didn't think that they changed to actually eventually doing like Spanish speaking music. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I guess they did have a kind of like famous song that they
Hmm.
recorded that I guess is pretty popular and had a lot of airplay on the Texan radio stations. And it was called Con esta copa, which is with this cup. And they recorded that in 1960. I know. I'm like, I don't know. I listened to a little snippet of the song and I'm like, pretty good. I mean, like they sound good. And yeah, so that was recorded in 1964. Yeah, so they did release a few more records. And when Abraham's wife, Marcella, had their second child, Suzette, he then quit the band and they continued on without him. And I think they only continued on like not very much long after him. I think they just did a couple more records and songs. And then they kind of just also called it quits, which was interesting to me because I was like, how is he able to use Los Pinos for Selena's band then? I mean, I guess maybe they weren't using it, but I was like,
Because I think the translation is
'cause they
like,
stopped.
and the men or the and the guys or and
Oh.
the something like
Yeah.
that. So it's more it makes sense like when you hear the translation, it's like Selena and the homies. I don't know. So it's not like
well, I just mean because it's like, a musical group, you don't want to have like the same name
yeah.
as another group. So I don't know. That's what I was just thinking. But
Hmm.
and they also, because of that, made me think that Abraham had more of like a big role in the group because it seemed like he just took the name from them, but really he was just kind of like, hey, let me join your guys' group.
Yeah.
Let me sing some songs with y'all.
I mean, he did have like an ear for music because he heard them and then he was like, I want to join. Right. So
Well, yeah, he could sing too.
yeah. So
Which he doesn't look like the type of guy that would be able to sing. Like even pictures of him now, I'm like, I cannot imagine him singing the songs that I heard, like, even the clip or what was presented in the movie. I was like, I can't see him because he looks kind of like not mean, but he looks very like serious, like
yeah.
a serious
Yeah.
man.
Well, I'll go into how Abraham basically became a momager for Selena.
For real though.
So Abraham noticed Selena's musical abilities when she was 6 years old. He was teaching AB, which is his son, how to play the guitar, and Selena came into the room and started singing along with her father. He told People magazine her timing, her pitch were perfect. I could see it from day one. In 1981, Selena's parents opened a Tex-Mex restaurant. It was also used as a place for the kids to perform and gain some attraction. Unfortunately, they were hit hard in 1983 with the recession, and the restaurant was forced to close. Selena and her family had to declare bankruptcy and were evicted from their home. The family, though, never gave up on music. They would play on street corners, weddings, quinceañeras, and fairs for some extra cash. And also at that time, when they left their home, they moved back to Corpus Christi. Time was rough at that. And that's something that I do appreciate that they showed in the series versus the movie. The movie was just very like, yes, times kind of went down. And then all of a sudden, they're performing again at a fair. But in the series, they kind of really show how they, really went through a hard time. So, music was a huge commitment for the whole family, and Selena was even pulled out of school in 8th grade. Her teachers were concerned for her well being because she would come to class tired from performing all weekend. Abraham was not cool about that. I do wonder about that though, because in the series they show how they say like, oh, Selena, her grades are great and everything like that. Just the fact that she misses school and she would show up tired is what the teachers were concerned about. But then I was thinking that too. I was like, well, if her grades are okay, then like, what's the problem?
Well, she's tired.
Yeah, but
I remember
like,
when
I
I
don't
was
really
younger,
get
I
it.
was falling asleep in class and my teachers had to they called my house and like had to like talk to my grandparents or whoever it was that I was staying with at the time, saying that I need to get more sleep and stuff because I was falling asleep a lot in class.
Wait, how old were you?
It's like, I mean, I was young. I was like in elementary school. I don't remember.
Okay.
I was young. I just remember I was like falling like asleep hella and they like legit talked to my parents because of it. I think it's just like like sleep is important, especially to kids. So it's
Yeah,
like
but she
you
was
have
in
to
eighth
have enough
grade.
sleep.
So that's like 13. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
but
guess
still,
it's
she's
still
still a
time.
kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's still a kid.
I guess like for me, like I can see for the family, this is also a means of income too for her, for like them to go perform for the weekends. And if her grades aren't affected by it, like I can also see her parent side of things, like, okay, but her grades are okay. She's still doing well in school. Like this
Yeah.
is, this is child labor, but
Well, yeah, I was like, it shouldn't also be on her to like
yeah.
provide for her family either. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah.
Obviously,
I've heard that it is like against the law or something like that for what am I trying to say? Like basically kids are supposed to be going to school and showing up and they miss too many times. It's like really bad. But I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a
That's why they
parent. I'm
got
not,
truancy police.
Yeah.
Schools, they have like truancy like officers and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not a parent. I really like I clearly I'm
I
like,
mean, I'm not one either.
what's wrong with missing school? So yeah, she didn't go to school. She was tired and her parents were like, screw you motherfuckers, we're taking her out of school. Even though Selena was pulled out of school, she did get her high school diploma and she was even enrolled at Pacific Western University, taking up business administration as her major. Back to the music business. Abraham bought an old bus that was refurbished and he named her Big Bertha. They used that as their tour bus. And in the beginning, the family would sing for food and sometimes would have barely enough money to even pay for gas. And they didn't show that in the movie, but they showed it in the series. I'm like, yo, this is dangerous. Like literally, it's like it's like a school bus, an old school bus, and like took out all the seats and they just laid out blankets and the the family would just like sit back.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay, well, it seems like
So it was
Abraham.
more of like a school bus, not like a old tour bus like in the movie.
Yeah, so in the movie, but then to be fair, I kind of like did a quick scan through in the movie, and when they started the movie, it is later where they got a nicer bus. But so this is much earlier when they didn't have the means to be buying a bus that nice. So this is like a ghetto bus. That they could have easily lost their life to. But Abraham's a great driver, apparently, very safe, very cautious. Then in 1984, Selena recorded her first LP record with Freddie Records. She wanted to record an English language song, but Abraham was like, no, Selena, I think you should record musical compositions related to her heritage. So she recorded Tejano music. She learned Spanish phonetically and with the guidance of her father. There was some drama though, because she was going to be a woman in a genre historically dominated by men, and even music or Texas music venues would turn them down. One, because of the age of the band members, but two, because Selena was the lead singer. But not to worry, because in 1986, she won the Female Vocalist of the Year at the Tejano Music Awards. And by 1988, she released 5 more LP records, and the rest was history. I tried to look up exactly when she started to learn like Spanish and singing in Spanish, because it's like it looks like she was like at a young age, and then like but then there's no like specifics of like exactly when she started, singing Spanish or singing in Spanish and Tejano music. So that one we're gonna have to call up Abraham, sir, Mister. What? Can you please clarify? All right, now we're gonna talk about Chris Perez. Ooh. In 1989, Selena y Los Dinos lead guitarist Roger Garcia got married, so he left the music business after that. And AB had heard good things about Chris from other Tejano groups, and he went to watch Chris rehearse. AB invited Chris to one of Selena's performances and asked if he was interested to play with them, and he accepted. He said his decision was based on their sound, which is more hip and sophisticated than other Tejano bands, and that he hoped to learn more music arrangements from AB, whose work he admired. Sure, Chris. Sure. I totally believe that. So Chris still had to audition for Abraham, and Abraham was like, no, I don't like this guy. Look at the way he looks. He's got that rocker image. He felt like that would be a bad look for Selena because she's got this like perfect image. And AB was like, come on, Dad. And so then Abraham accepted Chris. And then later in 1989, AB treated the band to a vacation in Mexico. And during that trip, that's when Chris realized that he was attracted to Selena, even though he had a girlfriend back in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Did they talk about that in the series?
No.
What the heck?
Well, the series is really
know,
long. Well, obviously I bet they only have a certain amount of viewers to, talk about everything. But I'm on like episode 9, and that's when Abraham that's when he found out about the relationship, and that's the last episode of
Is it like a limited
season.
series, or is it like,
I don't know, it doesn't seem
I
like
thought it was.
okay, I wasn't sure. Because I was like, are they going to keep trying to come back with more seasons, or?
I mean, she
Is
has
the family involved with it? Like,
Yeah.
are they in it?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
I think Suzette is a producer. So
Oh, okay.
So Chris thought it was best that he would distance himself from Selena, but he found that difficult and instead tried to build a relationship with her. They expressed their feelings for one another at a Pizza Hut restaurant, and then they became a couple.
Oh, the love of pizza.
I
Yeah.
know. I did you guys notice that like J Lo in the movie Selena, it was like she was constantly talking about like eating. At one point, it felt like she was like always hungry.
Yes, all the time. Yes.
I was like, okay,
What was it? Yeah, she was basically, well, to me, it kind of seemed like that. Like, I love pizza. Like, they asked me how I, when I do to work out, and I'm just like, I just eat pizza or whatever she was saying. And I was like, okay.
that metabolism at that
I'm-
age.
I mean, according to what I read, what Chris said was that scene could have been even heavier on the pizza. Apparently, she really just loved pizza.
I mean, it's
She
good.
loved to eat. Could have been a little more.
So they became a couple, but they had to hide their relationship because they were scared if Abraham found out, they would break them up and fire Chris. Keeping this a secret, though, was really hard for Selena. But Suzette ended up telling on them and told Abraham about their relationship, which I was like, Suzette, really?
I
Really?
know, right? Come on now. You can't just be
Like,
tattling on your sister
I
like that.
know. I mean, even in the movie, it was, or not the movie, the series, it was kind of weird. Like, Suzette was like so concerned. But I'm like, if you were concerned, like, why didn't you keep it a secret? I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like, dang, she just immediately went and tattled though. Like, that's
It
hecka
really did feel
shady.
that way.
But honestly, I feel like that would have been me though, if I was like young, like I don't know. Well, to me, that seems like something like a kids would do. So I guess it is kind of weird that since they were like adults, right, at this point,
I think like
Yeah.
that you would do
20.
that. But it's like when I was younger, I'd be like, I'm gonna go tell or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't do that now. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah. In the series, they're trying to make it seem like just mostly like out of concern for Selena and Chris and Sue. That was just like real. It was just like a lot of concern. Anyways, we're older now and obviously wiser than they were at the time and know that was not a good idea. So, anyways, Abraham obviously went off on Chris and told them that it was over, but they still continued their relationship. And Selena's mother was or she did approve of the relationship. And then the bus scene happened where he stopped and was like, no, 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 no. They got into, well, Abraham more so got into a fight with Selena. Chris got involved and, and then Abraham said that Chris was cancer in my family. I was like, Abraham, oh my
Jeez.
goodness.
That's
So
mean.
Chris, yeah,
I
I
feel like see that
know.
stuff like that makes it seem like to me that he was just trying to be super controlling of her. That's why like this compared to like what happened when she was younger, I'm just like, dang, he just had to have like a say in everything her like
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah, kind of toxic, I know.
Yeah.
Well, Chris was fired, and Abraham prevented Selena from running off with him, and this left her devastated and heartbroken. But that still did not stop them. They still continued a relationship, even though Selena was on tour and Chris was back at his dad's place. The morning of this part. Okay, are you guys ready for this? I will try to say it the best I can. The morning of April 2nd, 1992, Selena pounded on Chris's hotel room door and forced her way in, began to cry, and she said she could not go on without him. Sounds a little bit toxic. Selena and Chris eloped, even though Chris was like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. But Selena convinced him. Abraham did approach them later, apologized, and accepted the marriage, and he let Chris back into the band. Now comes to the sad part. After Selena was murdered, Chris could not eat for 2 days. In his book, he said that when he couldn't sleep, he began to abuse alcohol and drugs and went into seclusion. Family members even noticed that he was rapidly losing weight, and he felt extremely guilty for not protecting Selena. I don't know, Nicole, if you're going to say this, but he was there at the hotel with Selena.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh, okay. I'll
He was?
I'll spill
Yeah,
the
none of the
tea.
things I read said that.
So,
Oh.
actually, he went with Selena to the hotel where Yolanda was at on March 30th, and he went with Selena to get the documents. And when Selena came back, she realized she didn't have everything, so she called up Yolanda. Was like, "Yo, what's up? Like, I don't have everything." And Yolanda was like, "All right, come back, but without Chris." And Chris was like, "It is dark outside. I don't want you driving at night." And so Selena was like, "Okay, I'll come tomorrow morning." So then Selena went over the next morning to pick up the rest of the documents. And that's why Chris feels guilty, because he went with her the first time, but not the second time. Shocker and horrible.
Mhm.
And I feel really bad because
But
it
I mean,
really
even
isn't his
if he was
fault.
there, I feel like he wouldn't have been able to do anything.
But no, because they did see her that first day, so maybe she would be more scared to do something with somebody else
I see what
there.
you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I guess in my head she was still gonna do what she did, so that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
In 1996, he moved out of his home in Corpus Christi and moved, and I think that's the home he shared with Selena, but I did not look to specify that. He moved in with his friend and began to write music, which he found healing. He did remarry in 2001 and had 2 kids, but they divorced in 2008, and he is still close to Selena's family. Overall, it's just a tragic love story.
Yeah, it's really
Mhm.
sad. Dude, even watching that scene, like in the end of the film where they're all like when the doctor comes out and
Oh my
tells
God,
them,
I
I was
know.
like, ugh. It's not even like,
Yeah.
yeah, just like the idea of something like that happening to someone that you love, and you're just like,
And
oh
she's
my God,
so
like,
young. So
yes. And she,
young.
like, her career was kind of just starting, really, if you think about it. Like, yeah, she had
Yeah.
all the success, but I feel like it was just getting started. And
Mhm.
it's crazy and so sad. And just even the Chris in the movie, I was like, bro, I feel those tears. Like, I was just like, ugh. So, Yolanda. Basically, I mean, I looked her up to like see her backstory, but I didn't really want to include it because I'm like, she doesn't deserve that much of a
Mm-mm.
recognition. So I was like, screw her. So basically, I just said that she's just a woman with an obsession with Selena. So after she attended one of Selena's concerts, Yolanda wrote to Selena's dad and like multiple times, basically begging him to let her start a fan club for Selena. And after pestering him multiple times, he finally just relented and he was like, okay, you can open up this fan club. And she was the president of that fan club. And I believe, I want to say this was in 1991. I believe that she saw the concert and wrote him this. So yeah, and her father also kind of thought that it would be good publicity for Selena as well because she to get her name kind of out there amongst people and kind of create more of a group for her fans to kind of connect and whatnot. Which also, what the hell do fan clubs even do?
I mean, this is like way back in the
Um,
day. So I think that these fan
you get
clubs
like the
were,
little membership card and
I
yeah,
know. I was like, what did they get out of it? But I
like
mean, whatever. Because I know later on they had to like I talk about them paying dues and stuff, and I'm like, what did you receive
well,
for it?
I mean, this is kind of too early for that, but like back, I guess in the early-ish 2000, I don't know, when I was in like the Fall Out Boy fan club, you got like a card and a shirt, and then you also got access to like a forum, like a message board, so you could talk to other fans.
So
I
it's
guess
like
that's a little early for that,
well, it's
but
like how like people on now on YouTube and stuff they have like Discords and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
it's
I
like a
see, I see. Okay,
Patreon.
okay, it makes sense now. You just have to like bring it to like today's type of thing. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so she's president of this fan club, and in 1994, she gets promoted to be manager of Selena's clothing boutiques, which I thought was kind of a big step. But apparently, I think
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, that's kind of random to go from president of a fan club to
Way
manager
too
of
much
boutiques.
trust.
But they made it seem like, well, some of the things I said that she had like managerial or some type of experience. But when I was looking at her other stuff, it just said that she was previously a nurse. So I'm not sure where that
You're
came
like,
from
where's
or
her
if that was even
resume?
true. Well, I'm like, how do you, what? That's like, yeah, like of all, like, I think, yeah, of all of her boutiques, it seems like she was the manager of them. But, anyways, later on in that same year, the boutiques started to suffer mainly because of the staff leaving the stores, many citing Saldivar as the reason for them leaving. One of her employees, and her, I mean, Selena's employees, not Saldivar's, said, just in case you thought it was her employees. So this employee said she'd get like very angry if you crossed her. She would play so many mind games, say people had said things they hadn't said. So many things would happen to the clothing I was working on. I knew that I had finished a certain piece, but I would come back from a trip to New York and the hems would be ripped out. It was very strange. And I also read something else that said that basically if you crossed her, if she just didn't like you for some reason, she would fire you or like kick you out of working there or something, which is just really weird. She's just, I guess, a very hostile person to be around. And in January 1995, Abraham began receiving telephone calls from fans who said they had paid for membership in the Selena fan club and had received nothing in return and he began an investigation. Abraham discovered that Saldivar had embezzled more than $30,000 via forged checks from both the fan club and the boutiques. On March 9th, 1995, Abraham, Selena, and her sister Suzette confronted Saldivar and accused her of stealing money from the boutiques in the fan club. Abraham fired Saldivar on the spot, though Selena reportedly kept in contact with her as she needed several financial documents Saldivar had. Which, again, we see that in the film. In the days before Selena's death, Saldivar delayed handing over the bank statements and financial records by saying she had been physically and sexually assaulted in Mexico. Saldivar, along with Selena, appeared at a medical clinic on March 31st, 1995, to have Saldivar examined for an assault. Afterward, Selena again met with Saldivar in her motel room at the Days Inn in Corpus Christi. At the motel, Selena demanded the financial papers. And then this is where we're gonna like talk about like what happened, which it's like kind of I was kind of shocked that this is I don't know out there I guess for people to read. At 11:48 a.m., Saldivar got a gun from her purse and pointed it at Selena. As Selena attempted to flee, Saldivar shot her once on the right lower shoulder, severing an artery and causing a severe loss of blood. Critically wounded, Selena ran towards the lobby, leaving a 390-foot long trail of blood.
Mm.
She collapsed on the floor as the clerk called the emergency services, with Saldivar still chasing after her and calling her a bitch. Before collapsing, Selena named Saldivar as her assailant and gave the number of the room where she had been shot. Meanwhile, Saldivar attempted to leave in her pickup truck. She was, however, spotted by a responding police cruiser. She surrendered after a nearly 9.5-hour standoff with police and the FBI. And one of the, I guess, officers had something to say. And his name was Larry Rucker. He was the lead negotiator. And he said, I was on the phone with her for 7.5 hours. Yolanda didn't ask for anything. What she wanted really was to hear what was going on with Selena, her condition. She wanted someone to hear her story. That they are best friends, that she loves Selena. She admires Selena. She would do anything for her, which it's like, but you're the one who shot her and stuff. And then you're over
Obsessive.
here. Yeah. It's just like shows how twisted her mind is to go from that to being concerned.
I saw that Selena, when they got back to the hotel room, Selena like emptied Yolanda's bag and then she saw the gun and then Selena grabbed it. And I know. I don't know how, but
No,
don't
I
trust
didn't see
me,
that.
honestly.
I didn't see that, but yeah, that's what I was like kind of when you said the thing about Chris, I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck? The thing there was like I feel like every single thing I found was the same exact story, and that was the first I heard of that. So that's all I was like, what?
We should read the book. Chris's book.
There's a book?
Chris has a memoir, or Chris has a book.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I guess like she tried to like say that, she didn't mean to shoot Selena, but then later on they discovered that it takes like 11 pounds of force to shoot the gun. And so obviously that's like kind of impossible. And then what else?
And then I saw that when they asked her why she was purchasing this gun, she said it's because she's a nurse and the family member of a person she was treating like threatened her. I was like, this girl is so shady.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's just something within her is just
I do
wrong.
wish, yeah, I want them to do like a psyche analyst of her. Like, I want a little bit more backstory because I'm like, how did she get to the point where she is, where she like,
she was just
is a little twisted.
Like it's like, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you hear all these stalker stories all the time of people who are just like so obsessed with the person they feel like they have some type of like connection. Oh, and I think that's one thing too. I saw that they were like not hinting, but they were like, oh, maybe she was like a lesbian because she had such a like an obsession with her or something like that. But I'm like, I think she's just really wanted to be friends with her, like be around her, and like I think people are just attracted to people who have like, like a good type of energy, I guess, that Selena had. And so I think she was just really into that. And I think she didn't have it. So she like liked Selena because she like wanted to be here in essence, I think.
But the issue is that she got that. Selena and her were friends. Like Selena did trust her and consider her a friend. Because like you have to think about the fact that when they first confronted Selena about Yolanda's scamming, Selena didn't want to fire her. She was like, no, so it's like you got what you wanted. You wanted to be close to Selena. Selena's close to you. She trusts you. And then you fuck that shit up. Like, come on, dude.
And apparently I think she just was like wanted to be maybe even her only friend. Cause I think a lot of people said that she just didn't like if Selena was kind of like, I don't know, talking to other people. And that's when she would get pissed off and kind of fire them or whatever. Cause I think she just wanted to be like, even in the film, how like when those ladies wanted to buy the ring or whatever, she's like, well, let me do it. And then she took all the credit for it. Yeah. I think it's kind of like a similar thing. She just wanted to be the one who Selena was just always like, she didn't want Selena to rely on anyone else other than her, kind of a thing.
I do have something to say about the aftermath, and also I also can't believe they were on the phone negotiating with her for like 9.5 freaking hours.
Yeah, a long time. Oh, I just have one more thing to say too about her trial fast. So Saldivar was charged with first-degree murder and was put on trial with her main defense being that she had fired accidentally, which I said was a crock of shit because you need 11 pounds of pressure to fire a gun, which I think it's so funny that a lot of people use that as like their defense is that it was an accident, but it's like, dude, you have to pull that trigger in order for it to go off. It's not just going to accidentally go off. But anyways, and I also thought this next part was not interesting, but like, because I feel like usually deliberations take a long time, but this one was a short 3-hour deliberation. And they said that she was guilty. And 3 days later, she was sentenced to life in prison with a possibility of parole in 30 years. So I guess that's
It's coming up.
2025. Yeah. And I was
Mhm.
like, what the hell? And yeah, that's pretty much it. I was like, she better stay her ass in jail.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mhm.
can't. She's gonna have to change her name. She's gonna have to do all kinds of stuff. She get out of here. You know, these people on
How
these
old is
streets are
she
gonna.
now?
I
60
don't even know.
something. Let me see. Hold
But
on.
you know, these people on the streets, if they find out that she is out of prison,
She's
not gonna be good
60.
for her.
Oh, I saw another thing when she ran out of her room after she shot Selena and got into her truck. They said that they thought maybe she was going to go to the recording studio and try to shoot AB or not AB Abraham.
She's crazy, but it's like I don't know. It's just like obviously she was planning this too, but it's like weird that you would be obsessed with someone and then want to plan this to hurt them, and then you're so
Well,
concerned about hurting them. It's like, wasn't that your intention though? Was to hurt them and to kill them? Like I
I
don't get
don't know.
it.
It's like that weird thing where they're just like, if I can't have you, no one will type of a
Yeah.
thing. And I don't
Yeah.
know why it always
Oh, that's
comes
what I was
down to
gonna say
that.
too. Is I guess she had a key to Selena and Chris's place,
Mhm.
like to their house. She had a key, which I was like, that's freaking weird.
Okay.
But
Are you guys ready to hear what I have to say? I thought this was like crazy. But anyways, so Yolanda was like trying to plead not guilty and her bail is set to it was originally set to $100,000 and then it was raised to $500,000 because they were worried she'd be a flight risk. Well, people were actually really upset that she my how do I say this? Like that they didn't seek the death penalty and that Texas gang members were trying to take collections and raise bond so that she could be released and they can kill her. I was
oh
Ah,
my god,
yeah,
that's
okay,
what I
Texas.
said. I was like, if she gets out, it's not gonna be good for her. Like it, like people are gonna try and get her.
yeah.
Texas is intense.
I mean, you killed the queen of Tejano music, okay? And then I think
It's
after
like
her
everyone loves her. So
yeah. So after her verdict, she told her lawyers that she wanted to kill herself or something like that. I'm like, oh my god, okay, he said that in the truck before too. Anyways, and then and then I did hear that they were concerned about her verdict because of what happened with OJ. But luckily, she was found guilty.
I mean, hello, Selena said that she was the one who shot her and
I
stuff. So I
know.
I
mean,
know when I
mean,
read that, I was like, good on you, girl.
yeah,
Good.
it's
The
just
room I was in, the who did it.
yeah,
Good
I
mhm.
on you.
know. Exactly. That's why I was like kind of surprised, like, because I never heard that part of the story, like what
Yeah.
happened, like all of that.
I was curious on how they were able to find like what do they call them? Basically like the non-bias jury members
The
Mhm.
because
jury.
she was like so like well known and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, how are you gonna find
Well,
people?
well, I mean, remember the scene where she was in the dressing room that like the white people didn't know who
That's
she was?
true. I mean, I guess that's yeah,
So it's
that's
like
true.
I mean,
That's the
obviously,
majority of our peers then.
yeah, I'm like I don't listen to Tejano music, so
That's
it's like
true.
I wouldn't know who's like the famous person right now in that. So
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm sure there was news coverage, about
oh
it.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that's like, how can you be like, you saw it in the news, you might not be able to be impartial. But then I did see that actually the first lawyer that was assigned to her said he couldn't do it because he didn't want his kids to later find out that he defended her because his kids actually, love Selena. And so I was like,
Good
Well,
on him.
yeah,
it's crazy that they like made this movie so quickly after her death. Like I think like a few months after her death, they started like basically like getting
I'll
everything in order
I'll
to
talk a little bit
okay.
about that.
Go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, because I got
um,
what is
Okay.
true, what is incorrect, and then I got some fun facts.
Fun
yay.
facts.
Fun facts.
I need some fun in this story.
I know.
Let's
So,
go.
so we don't end on a sad note.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess should I start with what's wrong or what's right with this movie?
What's
Start with
wrong?
wrong.
Wrong. Okay. What's wrong with this movie? I would say is kind of nitpicky. As far as I could tell, I mean, because her dad executive produced was an executive producer on the movie. So from what I could tell, the family was pretty involved with the making of this movie, which again, I'll talk about a little bit later. But so there wasn't really too much that I could find wrong with the movie. So good on them. There was obviously, as they often do, they rearrange some timelines and stuff like that. But so I don't have too much wrong. So one of the things wrong is that someone used the word Tejano, which wasn't known at the time. So after Los Dinos was kicked out of the dance club in Corpus Christi in 1961 for singing doo-wop, someone yells out, "We want to hear Tejano, we want to hear Tejano music." But that word hadn't been invented yet, and the type of music didn't even come around until 1972. At that time, the genre was just known as Tex-Mex. So kind of nitpicky.
Yeah.
Also the whole washing machine scene where they're by the seashore and the mom's like, "Hey, do you know what kind of music that is? Your dad and I used to dance that way. Let me show you how to do it." So that was kind of just for fun. Her sister Suzette said, we would go as a family down by the water and we would hang out there and we would just talk and just be a family basically. So they would go to the seashore a lot, but they just hang. They weren't dancing.
I wonder, is that like the actual name for that little move though, or
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. So this one was super nitpicky, I felt. I mean, but I guess, her fans, they were very hardcore, but I guess people were upset that J-Lo's lipstick wouldn't get all over the microphone when she sang in the movie.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so when the real life Selena sang, she often held the microphone so close to her mouth that her signature red lipstick would coat it. The late singer shows ended with Mike's covered in makeup, but the film completely missed that note. To some fans, this oversight signaled the movie's lack of attention to detail. But I did actually look into it, and when she would throw it to the crowd, throw the microphone to the crowd, you could see that the whole top of the microphone was very red. So.
I think there's one scene where I was like, this is where they could probably do it. And it's there's one scene
Wait,
where it's
move
just
your head so I can see her face. And it is right there, right up on it. Sorry.
There's one scene where it's just the microphone. And I was like, that's the one part you could probably put in the lipstick stain mic. And, it would be, that was the one place where I was like, maybe they could have put it there. But this is 97. And I don't know, I don't know if their attention to detail
in
was
the grand
that,
scheme of things.
Yeah,
it's not that important.
No. Don't they have a microphone that she had with her lipstick stained on it, like somewhere in the museum or something like that?
Maybe.
I think they do, and I
mean,
think it's kind of gross.
Surprised.
Something I thought was weird is that they wanted, I guess they had lost the gun or whatever that shot Selena. And
Dang.
well, I mean, after they already needed it, they lost it. And I guess it was in some type of court reporters or some assistant or someone's house or something. They had it in a box with all the documents from the case or whatever.
Oh,
and
okay.
I guess they took it apart and destroyed it and threw it in the ocean or whatever. But people were upset and felt that it should have been put in a museum, which I'm like, that's so morbid though. Why would you want the gun that killed the person you love in a museum? Yeah. And it was her fans and people that were saying that. Yeah. I was like, that's weird. So I'm I'm glad they didn't do that.
One thing that I thought was kind of strange, which I also noticed, is that they made in the part in the beginning of the movie where the kids were younger, they made them kind of seem like they're all kind of the same age. It wasn't really apparent actually in the whole movie. It actually really wasn't apparent in which order they were born or what their ages were. But in real life, AB was 17, Suzette was 14, and Selena was 9. So there actually is a decent age difference, but they all kind of look the same age.
Yeah, no, same.
So to what they got right, which you kind of think is kind of crazy. But as we mentioned earlier, that anything for Selena's bumper scene actually was real. That did happen. They did have some guys trying to help them get their bus out of the ditch, and it did tear off the guy's bumper, and he did say he was going to hang it on the wall. And then also the bustier scene where she or the bra. When she takes her jacket off, that did actually happen. Another nitpicky thing that people brought up was that she did make the bustiers herself because she loved to design clothes, and she did often run out of rhinestones when she was decorating them. So I'm not quite sure if it was supposed to be like the first one that she wore. I think it was, but if you actually look back at her performance, you can see where she ran out of the rhinestones, and one side is more bedazzled than the other. So people were just like, it's accurate, but it's just like, yeah.
Well, AB posted on his Instagram that fun fact. He posted an Instagram saying like, fun fact, Selena didn't have enough rhinestones to finish the other side. She was upset, but then she actually created her own design. So AB confirmed it.
And then the horrifying scene of the stage collapse, which Chris says was actually played down for the movie. It was actually much scarier in real life. He said, that was even crazier than the movie shows. I thought we were not going to make it out.
Wow.
Like,
what happened then? Like, what?
I don't know. I guess probably just the crowding situation, and like maybe like how not bent, but how like I guess is bent, like how bent the stage was when the crowd was pushing against it. And I would assume probably there was more people being like pinned against it, like they show that woman how she kind of like falls under type of a thing, which was very scary. I was stressed. It was a very stressful scene.
Also, that crowd in that scene, I felt like it reminded me of that scene for Bohemian Rhapsody where all the people were out in the crowd. I was like, damn, I feel like it looks like so many freaking people.
The last true fact I have is the trashing of the hotel room scene, which did actually happen, but it happened after her and Chris secretly got married. So Selena was only 20 years old when she eloped with Chris Perez, and the movie leaves out a few crucial facts about the relationship. For example, by the time Perez trashed a hotel room, which really happened, the couple was already secretly married. Perez said that one of the funniest scenes in the movie, when Selena and Chris chat about their pizza-loving habits, was more earnest in real life. He says, "Here's where we first said 'I love you' to each other. My head was spinning." So,
I did
deep.
I did feel like that hotel trashing scene was like really random. Like all of a sudden Chris decided to trash hotel.
Yeah.
Well, because he was kind of, I feel like, acting out in the way that I think he thought other people thought he actually was kind of a thing.
When I read it,
like he's like, well, this is what they think of me, so this is what I'm gonna do then, kind of. That's
I
what
was trying to be cool.
when
cool.
I read it, it was like him and some homeboys were like hanging out. They got drunk. They had some horseplay, and it just went too far.
I mean, that's how it's saying. I was kind of confused as to who it was that was trashing the room at first, because he was just like chilling, playing guitar. I'm like, who are all these people?
Yeah, it was really random.
I thought it was just some random people that he met up with, and he was like, hey, you guys come back to my room and then let's trash it.
But okay, sorry to like bring this back down. Did you guys see that they actually had this, like, they had a viewing for her fans, and like I think hundreds of people were able to go see Selena before she was buried?
I did see that.
I mean, like,
and like there was like a speculation that they said it wasn't really her in the casket, so the family was like forced to have an open casket, basically. And I'm like, what the?
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but yeah, they had this open casket, and you can even like see there's like a picture, or even I think there's like video footage. God. Because the family did approve of having like a live broadcast for like the burial and stuff like that. But I guess there are photos of like her in the casket, and I mean, like, if I'm being honest, like she looks good, but that is horrible, like, and I know it's like weird thing to say, because
it's just, I don't like going to funerals, because it's like it's weird that
and
the last funeral I went to was like my great grandfather when I was like 6 or something, or I don't know, maybe a little bit older. But
open caskets aren't they're I think like in movies, and I bet like with Selena, I think that's something different, because she passed away at the hospital, so maybe they were able to maintain her a little bit better. But like in other situations, it's not like that, and they actually look really different. And anyways, but I guess I do find that weird. Like I think that if Harry Styles passed away and they said that I could go see him, like I wouldn't, you know. And
Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
Harry, so
There was one thing that I saw that basically said that because of her bustiers that she was like the Mexican Madonna because like
Mm,
Mhm.
Madonna had like the cone boob thingies or whatever.
yeah. Just gonna say that on YouTube, someone put together a compilation of like side by sides from the movie versus like Selena's concerts and stuff in real life. And part of the video was Selena's fashion show versus the fashion show in the movie. And it's just like so 90s. It's just like painful. It's just funny.
Yeah, even when that scene in the film where JLo was looking at like the fabrics, I'm like, who would wear those colors, girl? I'm like,
yeah.
none of those colors are good.
Anywho, so I got a lot of this stuff from a Cinema Blend article, which actually came out in 2020. So I guess it's probably, I feel like there was a lot of like renewed interest once that Netflix series came out. So I was
That's
like,
true.
oh, these
That's true.
articles are like newish. So as we kind of talked about earlier, Jennifer Lopez's casting as Selena was initially met with protest. While performers branded by the public as unfit to play a role for being of a different cultural community is not uncommon today, it is surprising to learn that J Lo, I'm just gonna say J Lo,
Oh
J Lo
yeah.
faced the same kind of backlash when she was cast in the title role of Selena. Protesters believe that the Puerto Rican American actress was the wrong kind of Latina to play the Tejano singer, as a 1996 report from Entertainment Weekly reads. The article also includes a quote from writer and director Gregory Nava calling the protests by fellow Latinos hurtful, as he believes that they should be celebrating that we have an all Latino cast and that Jennifer Lopez, one of our own, is becoming a star. Which I was like, becoming a star, but after all my research, I'm just like, this was like really like the role. Well, for
Yeah.
one, this was the role that made her decide that she wanted to pursue singing, which I like blew my mind, because in my mind, J Lo was always a singer and then an actress second.
She
I
was
don't
a
know. That's
dancer
just
first,
Ooh, yeah,
okay? She was
first
a
yeah, but that's
dancer.
dancer.
just I don't know. I just knew her for her music first, and it's
Really?
but I don't know. I was born in '93, so I mean, it's just kind of like I don't know. This is Jenny from
Yeah, I
the
don't think.
Block. Once they had J Lo step into the role, once it got to the J Lo part, I felt like every scene between her and her mom was just so weird looking. Like I looked at this, I'm like, they are the same age. Like I looked at them, I'm just like, there's no way that she's older than J Lo, and so I had to look it up, and it was confirmed that first of all, Constance Marie, the actress who plays Marcella, she originally auditioned to play Selena and didn't get it, but she's only 4 years older than Jennifer Lopez. So I
Mhm.
was just like, you cannot be her mother.
She was
You're
one
just
who was
like,
in the show George Lopez, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, she was. Yeah. But I'm just like, they look like they're the same age. Like these
Yeah.
wigs or whatever they got going on that were not
Because I
helping. They
mean, she
still look
No.
the
played
same age.
the younger. She was the mom in the younger version of all of them, like
Yeah.
of Selena and them too. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, obviously I had to put like wig and
Yeah.
makeup and shit on her.
So this was a weird one that I don't know. It hit me weird, but to prepare for the role, Jennifer Lopez slept in the real Selena's bed. So the Quintanillas welcomed Jennifer Lopez, cast to play their talented late family member with open arms, even inviting her into her home while she prepared for the role in Selena. In addition to consuming countless interview footage and spending time with her family, according to Good Morning America, the actress would even spend nights sleeping in Selena's bed. With that kind of commitment, no wonder she got a Golden Globe nomination. I was just like, oh yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird.
For
It
me,
makes me
yeah,
uncomfortable.
I was
I
like,
don't
for
know.
one thing, if it was me, I don't think I would want that close of a like relationship with the family because it's like then I feel like that's just an added pressure to portray that
Yeah.
person like exactly right or whatever. So I feel like I would keep more of like a distance, not in like a way like, oh, I don't want to meet you, but in a way like I just need to focus on trying to do this in the best way that I can. And I feel like I won't be able to
Yeah.
do that unless I'm like focused on actually doing it, you know?
34,000 Selena fans showed up as extras for the opening concert sequence. So the beginning scene, and do they end on it? Yeah, I think they end on it too. Her performance at the Houston Astrodome, that was actually shot at another Houston arena that they made look like the Astrodome. because I didn't realize until because I was gonna have a background picture of the Astrodome because that's all I could think of because
Same.
they focused on it so much in the
Same.
movie.
I almost did that too.
But I didn't realize until I was looking up pictures that the Astrodome has like since been like abandoned. Like they like completely moved on from it. Like there's a YouTube channel that I watch a lot where he does like a lot of urban exploration and like abandoned stuff, and he did a whole episode on the Astrodome. And I don't even think he even mentioned, which I'm like surprised now because it seemed like such a big deal, this Astrodome performance, that I don't even think he mentioned her performing there.
Wow.
But it's just like kind of crazy to think of like how big of a deal this was. And I mean, with any stadium like that, and they just like completely were like, nah, we're building a new one and we're moving on, which happens a lot. And it's just kind of crazy to me. Yeah, so it was actually filmed at the San Antonio Alamo Dome. And yeah, 34,000 fans of Selena showed up to fill the venue as extras for no pay. Lopez recalled the experience as initially overwhelming, but soon found it to be amazing, adding that there was a lot of love. I felt it channeled to me. It made me feel more confident. After I saw how I was received that day, it made it a lot better. So
That'd be
I think
so
she probably,
trippy though.
yeah,
Like to
oh,
be
to
her
see
and
it.
then also to yeah, like to be there to witness like basically someone who looks pretty freaking close, I think. I mean, I think she doesn't look exactly like Selena by any means, but like dressed up like her and everything, like she looks pretty similar. So to see her doing that and then to be J-Lo performing and like people basically think that you are like they legit probably think that you are the person that you're portraying. And yeah, that'd be trippy to like
Yeah,
that.
I actually had a thing about how her family reportedly got chills when they saw J Lo in character for the first time. They said in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Selena's sister and father Suzette and Abraham discussed their involvement with the movie, sharing stories about the family's intimate moments and their experience coaching J Lo to portray Selena accurately. They also recalled feeling stunned when they first glimpsed J Lo in costume as the late singer. Suzette said, she gave me chills when I saw her. For a split second, I thought it was my sister. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And then we've done quite a few music oriented episodes at this point, but this one at first I was like confused, but then it made sense when I looked into it more. The fact that J-Lo lip synced the whole or lip sang the whole movie, which I was just like surprised because I mean, like I said, I know J-Lo as a singer first. So it's just like, why wasn't she singing? But so the only time that J-Lo's voice can be heard is during the first three lyrics of the band's performance of Como la Flor, essentially marking the beginning of her singing career. According to Entertainment Weekly, the actress lip synced over the real Selena's actual voice, even though this kind of decision in a music biopic has potential to be met with harsh criticism. It seems like the right way to go in this case, both to honor the late singer's legacy and to be able to match her vocals accurately. And then also too, I was reading because they put this movie out like so soon after Selena died, it was kind of more to honor Selena to keep her original vocals and have J-Lo lip sync, because I think it would kind of throw fans off to be like, that's not Selena singing. Like, what is this? I feel like it definitely would have offended people more to like not hear Selena's voice, but that's like so, I feel like not so uncommon, but I feel like it's pretty uncommon these days with music biopics. It's just like they most of the time now, yeah, they get like actors that can actually sing. I mean, I'm just thinking of the Elton John one,
Yeah, but
Rocket
I think it's
Man.
just
But
coincidentally that they're able to sing as well, so they just use their
yeah.
voices nowadays.
Selena's father requested that the elopement scene be cut from the movie. I guess he felt that they shouldn't show it because they didn't want it to influence his daughter's young fans to believe that eloping is a right thing to do. And he does say that he did regret putting Selena in that position in the first place, that she felt like she needed to
Mm.
run away with Chris. This one was so sad, but it took Chris Perez 20 years to try watching Selena in its entirety, which is like I didn't even like really think about until I was looking into this, but it's just like, ugh, the family having to
Yeah,
like go to
relive
premieres
it.
and stuff and
Yeah,
relive it.
but I feel like now because now they have that festival too, right? The Selena Con, basically.
Yeah, I think
So I feel
so.
like
I think
now
I
I
saw
think
something about
I
that.
mean I don't know for sure, but I mean I would imagine now it's kind of more like you said, like celebrating her life and kind of keeping her memory alive in that sense, which I think that's good to like kind of keep
Yeah,
the success that she
definitely.
had, still in people's minds and hearts and whatnot.
Yeah. So the guitarist revealed that he had never seen Selena in its entirety, excluding the premiere, during which he had his eyes closed for most of it, until one night in 2017, 20 years after its release, when it was broadcast on the Lifetime network. He live blogged the experience to his Facebook page until he chose to flip the channel right before its tragic conclusion. So
Yeah, that'd be tough.
kind of fun that Chris, the real life Chris Perez, is still friends with the actor who portrayed him, which is kind of cute. I guess they actually lived together while making the movie, so that they could like learn the most about each other. And the audition scene, it not really accidentally, but turned out to be Chris's real hands playing guitar. I guess they they had John doing the scene, and it just like wasn't the same. It like wasn't impressive enough. So when they had Chris come in to like show him how it's done, they ended up actually just using the cut of Chris playing guitar. So those are his hands that are in the movie.
That's cool. Also, real fast, I was saying this before we started recording, but Chris, I feel like he didn't age. I feel like he looks like the same. I mean, like he looks older, but it's like I feel like he's aged pretty well.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Just wanted to say that because I was like, oh wow, it's like he looks like this picture, and then like ones now, I'm like, oh, he looks hella the same.
Here's a fun fact for International Women's Day. Playing Selena made Jennifer Lopez the highest paid Latina actress ever at the time.
Hey.
So in addition to garnering a relatively positive critical reception and becoming a modest box office success, Selena also saw a first for Hollywood in the financial world thanks to star J-Lo's earnings. With a salary of $1 million for the role, the performer became the highest paid actress of Latin descent in history. As of 2019, that kind of money is just pocket change for someone of J-Lo's stature, especially when you consider that her current net worth is $400 million.
Damn. I was gonna say, I was like, now she's like hella bougie and shit.
Yep. Hustler status. As we mentioned earlier, the Selena movie was in the works pretty quickly after Selena's death. She died in March 1995, and on March 21st, 1997, the movie was released. The film was announced in August, the same year as her death, and was originally supposed to premiere in the fall of 1996. The Quintanilla family chose to make the movie as a preemptive strike since other unauthorized films about Selena's life were already in production shortly after her death. Oh, the casting calls were insane. So about 22,000 girls auditioned to play the role of Selena.
Damn.
Craziness. In the end, J-Lo was cast, and it came down to 7 women, and one of them was Salma Hayek.
Oh,
But
wow.
Salma Hayek turned it down because she was gearing up to play Frida. Listen to that episode that we did. And then the last fact that I had was that her dad wanted the movie to stop short of depicting her murder, but the writer and director insisted that the assassination was dramatically necessary for the film. Quote, but I never wanted to probe Yolanda's motivations. So it's kind of like what you said. It's just like, don't give her the fame because it's not about her. But
Yeah.
I do think that it was necessary to show it. I mean, it as unfortunate as it was, I feel like it would, I don't know, it would just feel unfinished, I guess. But it is sad.
Did you see that some of her some of the people in her band were also in the movie? Because I like looked at pictures and I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, how did they get them? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's not like they were that far.
Yeah,
It's
it was
easy
like
And
to
I'm
be
sure
like,
they would
seconds,
want to
yeah.
do it.
yeah. Did you guys see that AB has like 8 kids? I've been like waiting this entire time to say that.
Holding back the tea till
Damn.
later. Wow, good for him, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know
lot of
why that was like
kids.
so like shocking to me. I was like, but in the series, they showed AB like, and his first wife and his first kid and like how they were still like touring and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, and of course I like went back to because I never even thought about like what AB and Suzette's life are like now. And then
Yeah.
and I went to look and I was like, oh my God. I didn't like much into Suzette, but yeah, AB obviously he's still like producing and yeah. And he's also a grandfather too. It's so crazy because obviously I have like no, I don't know, like connection to her in a sense, because like my mom, my family, they don't listen to that type of music. Like my mom, like the reason why I kind of go back to this is because I had my mom loved Princess Diana and I watched her funeral. So I like have some memory of that in my past. And I could say, like, oh, if we ever did anything about Princess Diana, I could be like, oh, yeah, I remember this and that. But, anyways, I don't have that with Selena. But when I watch the movie, I feel like I even have this, like, you know, feel this like connection towards her, and I love her just as much. And it just shows that Selena had this magic to her to connect with everybody.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Internet Historians. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and give us a rating. We would also love to connect with you, so make sure you follow us on Instagram as well as subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah, next week we'll be discussing Nikola Tesla from the movie Tesla. So don't forget to tune in. Thanks again, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.